Hi, I'm Stephanie Williams. I'm from the COPD Foundation, and I am here today with Christina Hunt, and we are going to talk a little bit about exercise and pulmonary rehab. And Christina, can you just tell us a little bit about you and who you are and how we are connected?
Sure. Thank you for having me. Again, I'm Christina Hunt. I'm a registered respiratory therapist, and I live here in Richmond, Virginia. I work in a pulmonary rehab and have for the last 10 years. And I became a Virginia State captain of the COPD Foundation several months ago. And so I work every day with people with all kinds of chronic lung conditions in pulmonary rehab with education and exercise and that sort of thing. But I've been a therapist for actually 17 years. So I've got combined experience in the pulmonary rehab world as well as in the hospital and critical care and things like that. So.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to sit and talk with you for a few minutes. We're going to cut to your exercise tape here in just a few minutes, but I wanted to ask you a few questions before we get started.
Okay.
So when people are considering starting an exercise program, do they need to contact their physician about it first? Would you recommend
Absolutely. And, it doesn't matter if you start, strength training or yoga or walking every day. If it's something new and you're managing a chronic lung condition like COPD, it's always a smart idea to check with your physician first. They may give you some recommendations. They may have some further advice for you when it comes to managing your condition along with doing the exercise. And they may have some basics of where they want you to start. So absolutely, before starting anything new, always talk to your doctor first.
Great. Thank you. And we're even encouraging people now to contact their physicians through their portals. A lot of people have portals that they're able to send emails back and forth to their doctors and trying to do these things through telehealth.
Yes.
So instead of exposing yourself during this coronavirus episode, we want people to reach out through the phone or telehealth if they can.
Absolutely. Through email, whatever way that they've said to contact them is the best way to do it. Yeah, for sure.
Right. And then I know a few of these exercises we're going to see you using weights, and you're used to doing this and you do this all the time, but is it possible to do this to start out without using weights at all?
So absolutely. When we first see patients in pulmonary rehab, when we start any kind of strength training regimen with them, we first try the exercises without any weights, especially if you feel like very deconditioned and haven't been doing any sort of exercise for a while. So it's always a great idea to start it without any weights. And you can do the same repetitions without any weights in your hands. It also gives you an idea of, do you have pain with range of motion? Sometimes we're surprised because we're not used to using those muscles the same way. That when we move them in those certain movements, we're like, ooh, I didn't realize I had a pain there, or I had an issue with that rotator cuff. So definitely, I would try the exercises without the weights first. And if you feel like it was, super cinchy for you, or if you want a little bit more of a challenge, then I would slowly add the weights in. And, a lot of folks kind of go with the, well, I used to be able to do 10 pounds or 20 pounds was nothing big for me. Or, I used to do this all the time 10 years ago. But, what we know is, with aging and deconditioning and not using those muscle groups, it's always good to kind of start very conservatively. Right. You're less likely to have any injury and things like that if you start very conservatively. So no weights is perfectly fine.
Okay, great. Thank you. What about, is it okay to do these exercises while seated? If we have people that aren't able to get up and around?
That's smart. So you can totally do these exercises seated. In fact, if you feel breathless standing, it's a good way to start this whole program is doing it seated. I'd recommend choosing a chair that's kind of firm to sit down on, nothing that you want to sink down into like a lazy boy or anything like that, something that's definitely firm. You can pick something with an armrest, especially if you have difficulty standing up out of a chair. You won't want to sit in a chair that's difficult to stand up out of. Be aware that if you choose a chair that has armrests, that you don't want them to impede your range of motion. So that may mean scooting just slightly towards the front of the chair, so that you can move your arms freely around. But definitely consider sitting if you aren't comfortable standing for a prolonged period of time, keeping the back straight while you're doing so.
Right. Posture is important.
Posture. Yeah.
Yes. That is right. Okay. And what about, if I'm in the middle of doing some of these exercises and I think, man, I just can't go on anymore. How do I know if I need to stop?
Okay, that's a really good question. So one of the things that we try to talk about in rehab is exercising to what I call the point of stretch, to where things just start getting difficult. You need to listen to your body. And so if your body is speaking to you and saying, hey, this is starting to get hard, that's the exact moment that you need to kind of back off these repetitions. The other thing that you may feel is that if you start to feel breathless before your muscles start to feel tired, because we are managing a chronic lung condition, the breathlessness may come before your muscles are weakened. And so if one of those things comes before the other, it's a good sign that your body's speaking to you, and you should just stop the exercise and go on to the next one. And then make a goal the next time you do the exercises just to add one more.
That is so good. That's really good advice. Just adding one more, or,
That's right.
just trying to get one more in, and having those goals for yourself. I think that's really important. And then the last question I have for you is, can we wear our supplemental oxygen while we're exercising?
Oh, that's a really good question. So yes, and I probably should have mentioned this in the video. If your doctor has ordered for you to wear oxygen with exertion, exertion would be with strength training. Even though you're not walking during these particular exercises, you are using those muscles, and those muscles use oxygen to do work. And so definitely, if you have been ordered supplemental oxygen, either continuously or with exertion, you should definitely wear your oxygen with these exercises. I know that sometimes the tubing can become a little cumbersome because it may get in the way of your arms. You're welcome to put it on and have the tubing run behind you if you just need to get it out of your way, or run it underneath your armpit so that it's out of your way. We tend to have our patients wear it from the front, and then they run it behind them while they're doing these strength training exercises. But definitely wear that oxygen while you're doing these exercises, because your muscles need it, and they're going to get stronger if they have the fuel they need to be able to do the work.
That's right. We can build a lot more endurance.
That's right.
With the supplemental oxygen. That's
Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. Thank you for answering these questions. You want to tell us a little bit about your video that we're going to see here in a second?
Okay, so I filmed this video just basically on upper body strengthening, and these are the exact exercises that we teach in our pulmonary rehab. So you're getting the exercises straight to your homes from a professional pulmonary rehab. You're going to notice when we start the video that I come up with 3 basic rules for doing these strength training exercises. 1 is using your breathing techniques. 2 is going slowly. And 3, if it hurts, don't do it. If you stick to those rules, wearing the oxygen, and sitting if you need to, you're going to be successful with these exercises. Please note that if you have any discomfort with any of these, that you will want to find an alternative exercise. I try to work on some major muscle groups, including the shoulders, the biceps, the triceps. So all those muscles that we use every single day for daily tasks like carrying, washing our hair when we're holding our hands over our head and we're trying to scrub our heads, when we're putting dishes away, when we're emptying the washing machine and lifting those heavy wet clothes and throwing them into the dryer, we're using our arms and our upper body strength. So we're not trying to build bodybuilders here. We're basically strengthening the arms so that we can do everyday tasks that we need to do to be able to live our lives with a little bit more ease and less breathlessness.
It's so good. I'm so eager for people to see this video and to exercise along with you and to really start to see some difference in their own lives because they have started exercise. So I appreciate so much you taking the time to create the video, and I just have enjoyed our time here today. And thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Hey guys, my name is Christina Hunt, and I'm a respiratory therapist here in Richmond, Virginia. I work at a pulmonary rehab, and I write a blog called Breathe, Live, Fit. And the COPD Foundation has asked me to join you today to show you some exercises on how you can increase your strength and endurance while being at home during the coronavirus. I know we're all stuck inside and it's easy to stay sedentary, but it's a better idea to move each and every day to maintain your strength or build your strength while being indoors. I have some tips today on how you can get started, especially if you don't have the right equipment at home. A few things to remember when you're doing any kind of strength building workout is one, to breathe. You want to breathe with every single movement. Use the breathing techniques that you have learned in the past, like the pursed-lip breathing technique, when you breathe in through your nose and breathe out through pursed lips, while lifting those weights. I'm not as concerned with whether or not you breathe in or breathe out with these weights or when to do it, as long as you're doing it with every repetition. So breathing is a very important thing so that you can practice those techniques, number one, but that you can have the oxygen and energy you need to lift them. Another rule of thumb when you're doing any kind of strength building is if it hurts, don't do it. You do not want to lift a weight and it hurt your joints. If it's starting to hurt your, let's say your shoulders or your elbows, you'll want to discontinue that exercise and maybe find another exercise that might benefit you when doing the workout. So don't do a workout or an exercise if it hurts. Our goal is not no pain, no gain. Our goal is to do the exercises to the point of stretch, in the sense that you're doing it to just starts to feel hard and then you're backing off of the exercise. And maybe the next day you're able to do another repetition or an extra rep so that you can continue to build your strength while you're doing it. The third rule of thumb is to go slow. A lot of my patients, they rush through their strength building, and it's really important when we use our arms and our legs for just about any activity that we do. So we're going to use those arms when we're in the shower. We're going to use our arm muscles when we're carrying groceries in or anything in from the car. So it's important to go slow and to build your strength slowly so that you can use gravity to kind of work against those muscle groups and to increase your strength. Now, as I mentioned before, you don't have to have a bunch of expensive workout equipment. I'm in my home gym here, and we've built quite a collection over the years because I do enjoy working out and I enjoy how I feel after working out. I don't have too many of my patients that have walked into rehab and then have left saying, man, I don't feel better from doing this. So, but you don't have to have a lot of equipment to do these workouts. You can simply use things in your pantry. So if you don't have any exercise equipment, you can use, let's say, jars of peanut butter. This jar of peanut butter is 1 pound. And so if you're not used to working out and you want someplace to begin and you don't have any exercise weights, try using a jar of peanut butter or 2 jars of peanut butter. You really want to have a weight in each hand, preferably for most of these exercises, but not all of them. Some can be done one arm at a time. But I do recommend having a weight in every hand so that you can also work on core strength and keeping your body upright and stable throughout the exercises. And if you want to, when you get strong enough, you can graduate to a larger item in your pantry. Like we use a lot of ketchup around here. I have young kids, and this bottle of ketchup is 2 pounds. So I've gone from 1 to 2 easily with something from my pantry. I'm going to be using the weights that I own, which I have to say are pretty nice, but you can get single weights in the sense from Amazon and Walmart. You can buy 3-pound weights from Amazon or Walmart, and they're fairly inexpensive, and get them shipped directly to your house, so there's no running out to the stores to expose yourself to any germs or viruses going around. But like I say, I'm going to use my weights today to show you the exercises that you can do. So those three rules I mentioned: breathing, going slow, and if it hurts, don't do it. Okay, another guideline for doing weights, and I'm going to grab mine here real quick, is if you can't do 8 repetitions of an exercise, then the guideline is it's probably too heavy for you. So if you can't get through eight repetitions or 8 repeats of an exercise, I know some of you are brand new to using weights, so I'll try to keep it simple, but if you can't do 8 comfortably, then that weight is too heavy for you, and I suggest moving down. So it kind of gives you a guideline where to start. So one of the first exercises I'm going to teach you today is the front arm raise, and I'm going to back up a little bit so that you can see me fully do the exercise. You're going to want to hold your weight, get your weights equal in amount on both sides, because remember, we're going to keep our core strong by keeping our back straight. We're not going to hunch over. Our legs need to be comfortably underneath you so that you can maintain your balance. These exercises can also be done sitting. In fact, if you're more comfortable sitting and less breathless sitting, I recommend finding a nice sturdy chair, not something that you sink into, but something that's going to support your back, and you can sit in that and do all of these weights and exercises yourself, okay? So we're going to start off with the front arm raise. Grabbing 2 weights of equal amounts, we're going to hold them up to our shoulders, and we're going to press them over our heads. So we're going to go up, down. Breathe in, blow out. Breathe in, blow out. Breathe in and out. Okay, so I've showed that exercise to you about 5 times. It's pretty easy. I wouldn't do it with just one hand over your head, because you can get kind of off balance and your back be kind of out of alignment. So really, when you're doing this front arm raise or overhead press or whatever you want to call it, you'll want to do both weights in weight in each hand, pressing it over your head and bringing it slowly back down to shoulder height, okay? All right, so that's exercise number 1. Pretty easy to start there. The reason why I like to do that exercise first is because it uses a lot of muscle groups at one time. It uses shoulders, it uses triceps, and other muscle groups in your arms. And so I like to do that one first because we're using them all at one time. And so typically that exercise can be pretty difficult to do, and we like to knock that one out first when we have the most energy. The next exercise I want to show you, and that you've probably seen millions of times, is a bicep curl. The thing to remember when you're doing a bicep curl is to keep those elbows tucked into your side. You don't want them flaring out to the sides. You want them nice and tucked into your side, and so that you're really using that elbow as kind of a fulcrum to bring your arm up. And you're going to work those biceps, which is this muscle right here on top, and you're going to raise them at the same time. So you're going to breathe in and blow out. In, out. Use that pursed lip breathing. Breathe in, blow out. in, out, in, out. Okay, so you see with that bicep curl, I'm getting the full range of motion there. I'm not allowing, if you've chosen to sit in a chair, don't allow the arm rest, if your chair has one, to impede your arm movement. Try to slide to the front of that chair so that you can get that full range of motion in your elbow to bring the weights up and down. Okay, so then we're going to move to some more shoulder exercises. I really like to work the shoulders. One, because a lot of the women in my pulmonary rehab really want their shoulders to look nice in the summertime, but also we use the shoulders for lots of exercises. When we lift our groceries up onto the counter, we're using shoulder muscles. If we're putting dishes away in the counter, we're using our shoulder muscles. So shoulders come into a lot of it. Plus, a lot of times your shoulder muscles are accessory muscles to breathe, and we want those to be strong, right? So we're going to move on to shoulders. The first one we're going to do is lateral shoulder raises, okay? Now, this can be kind of hard to do with both arms. So if you are new to doing strength building exercises, that I would recommend you can do them one arm at a time. Just remember, like I said before, that you keep your back aligned. But we're going to do them, I'm going to show you the exercise with both arms together, okay? So let's do this. So we're going to raise the shoulders out to the side and lower them back down. We're going to breathe in and blow out, okay? Now, as you see with that exercise, I'm only going to shoulder height, 90 degrees, and then I'm coming back down. Up again to 90 degrees and coming back down, all right? An alternative to this exercise, because I have a lot of gentlemen, in particular in my pulmonary rehab, that have had shoulder injuries in their lifetime because they played sports and they might have hurt their rotator cuff, and so they feel pinches in their shoulders when they do that particular exercise. So another way you can do it is you can take one weight, or you can take two. Mine just happen to be big. I have these adjustable weights, so they're big. You can take one weight, putting the hands together, and we'll work the same muscle groups by doing an upright row, by bringing it up and down. So this is an alternative to those lateral raises, up and down. So if you have shoulder rotator cuff issues, try this upward row, upright row, I guess is what they call it, and see if that doesn't help to alleviate any kind of shoulder pain that you might have. But I really like those lateral raises, and I really like the fact that you can do them one arm at a time. And when I was just starting out with my arm workouts, I would do these exercises and I would just raise them up one at a time. Or if I got tired doing both arms, then I would just break it down and do one at a time. But making sure that my back was aligned and that that shoulder, that arm did not go above shoulder level, okay? So 90 degrees, no higher than that. If you go higher than that, you tend to hyperextend the shoulder and you can do some damage to it. You don't want to do any damage to our joints, okay? So, another exercise for shoulders, I told you I love some shoulder exercises, and we're going to bring those arms to the front this time, some shoulder adduction. So we're going to bring them forward and down. Again, I recommend 2 weights at a time to 90 degrees. We're going slow. It doesn't hurt. And then I remember we got to breathe. So we're going to breathe in through our nose and blow out through pursed lips. Use that use that pursed lip breathing. I got my blog on my mind. Pursed lip breathing technique. Up and down. Okay? All right. So those are the shoulder exercises. I wanted to give you one more, a 5th exercise that you can do, and that is some tricep kickbacks, okay? I really love working the tricep. I feel like it gives your arm a lot of shape and it gives your arm a lot of strength too. So tricep kickbacks, if I can speak, are really important to strengthening the arms. So I'm going to try to turn to the side. So so that you can see my triceps. We've been working on those, especially after the winter holidays when we tend to put on some fluff with comfort foods. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of lean over. We're going to bring the weights in. All right, so I'm kind of leaned over. I've got to remember to keep my legs just slightly apart so that I'm comfortable standing. I'm sturdy on my feet. And what we're going to do is we're going to do these one arm at a time, but holding the weights. Okay, holding the weights together. We're going to go back and then take the other arm back. Taking it back, I try to really straighten that arm out and come back down. Back, back, breathe, go slow. And remember, if it hurts, don't do it, okay? All right, we're strengthening those triceps, all right? And we're breathing. Going to the front just so you can see what I look like, and I hope everybody's following along and understands what I'm talking about as I'm just kicking back those arms, flexing that tricep, and going nice and slow, okay? All right, those are arm exercises. One last couple tidbits of information. I'm gonna set these down. Couple last tidbits of information is if you are overwhelmingly sore the next day, I would recommend maybe cutting back on the number of repetitions that you do the next time you do these workouts. You don't want to keep pushing if your arms feel like jello the next day. So, take your time advancing those repetitions. When it comes to advancing the repetitions, I think that if you can comfortably do 20 repetitions during your exercise and not have jello arms the next day, not have overwhelming soreness the next day, then you are probably ready to go up on your weight. But then I would drop the repetitions back down. So let's say today I did about 5 pounds, and let's say I was able to do 20 repetitions comfortably. The next time I do my exercise, I would go up to 6 pounds, and I would drop my repetitions back down to say 10 or 12. I think this is a comfortable and safe way of advancing your strength building exercises without overdoing it. You want to come back to these exercises and want to do them again. And so if you push too hard one day, you'll want to make sure you're conservative the next time you do it and either cut back the repetitions, maybe cut back the weight. It may take a little time to kind of find what's going to be comfortable for you. But like I say, once you can do 20 pretty comfortably, then you should be able to advance your weight. If you don't have anything heavier than the weights that are available already in your house, then there's nothing wrong with just advancing beyond 20 reps. You can go to 25 or 30 reps. It just takes a little bit longer to complete the exercises the more reps you do. But there's nothing wrong to advancing those reps to 25 or 30 if you don't have a higher weight available. But like I say, you can use things from your pantry to start these exercises. I appreciate you joining me today, and good luck with your strength building exercises. And it was great to be with y'all today. Good luck, guys, and build those muscles.